because her comments are stabbingly funny. And someone in the Detroit News has caught on to the Senator Stab You Now. Listen to what he wrote. Michigan just experienced its coldest July on record. Global temperatures haven't risen in more than a decade. Great Lakes water levels have resumed their 30-year cyclical rise, contrary to a decade of media scare stories that the lakes were drying up due to global warming, and polls show that climate change doesn't even make a list of Michigan voters' top 10 concerns. Yet, in an interview with the Detroit News Monday, Senator Debbie Stab You Now, recently appointed to the Senate Energy Committee, made clear that fighting the climate crisis is her top priority. Listen to what Stab You Now said. Quote, climate change is very real, she confessed as she embraced cap-and-trade's massive tax increase, at the same time claiming against all the evidence that it would not lead to an increase in manufacturing costs or energy prices. Quote, she said, global warming creates volatility. I feel it when I'm flying. The storms are more volatile. We are paying the price in more hurricanes and tornadoes, close quote. The writer concludes by saying, yes, and there are sea monsters in Lake Michigan. I can feel them when I'm boating. That's from Henry Payne, the editorial cartoonist for the Detroit News. And yet this dunce, Senator Debbie Stab You Now, is actually on a committee dealing with the issues of climate and energy, and the woman doesn't have the brains of an average 7-year-old. And his weekly report on the shenanigans of the left coast, here is James Herson.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, remember Roseanne Barr? You know, she used to have that TV sitcom, Roseanne. It's still on in reruns. Well, she decided that she needed to bring her unique skills to the task of advocating for her brand of so-called healthcare reform. So she did what any good liberal would do. She posed on a magazine cover dressed as Hitler.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable to me.
Yeah. Using profane language, the former sitcom star urged Obama to, quote, do the right thing. And according to her, that means single-payer health care. In other words, Roseanne is angry that Obama is phasing in the single-payer plan by slowly destroying the private insurance industry. She wants Cuban-style care right now. Speaking of Fidel care, the chief Hollywood advocate of the Cuban health control system is propagandist Michael Moore, and his movie Sicko advocated that same single-payer plan, a.k.a. Cuban-style health control.
Mm-hmm.
The movie does just what the socialist promoters want right now. It demonizes insurers, it presents a crisis, and it provides the false choice of either doing nothing and causing terrible consequences or embracing the only possible solution presented, a freedom-choking, government-controlled system. So, the Moore flick is being screened for free, brought to you by a group called Organizing for America, a project of the Democratic National Committee.
Oh, like we didn't see that coming.
According to the publicity material for the Sicko screenings, every presentation of the film is followed by a public discussion on, quote, what can be done to create a fair and effective health care system. But Moore isn't the only one touting Cuba's health care. CNN has jumped in to pay tribute to the island tyranny. CNN actually aired a piece that claimed Cuba could serve as, quote, a model for health care reform in the United States. Of course, the CNN report included clips from Moore's movie, Sicko. I mean, you can't leave that out. The so-called reporter, Morgan Neal, was on location at a Havana hospital. Cuba's health care was called impressive. According to the CNN propagandist, Cuba's infant mortality rates are the lowest in the hemisphere, in line with those of Canada. This is what this so-called reporter said. But when you look at the numbers, even according to the UN, Cuba's current infant mortality rate is 44th in the world. Now, that's tied with Canada, which also has socialized medicine. But if we look back to 1958, the year before the revolution, Cuba's ranking in infant mortality was 13th worldwide. CNN left that statistic out.
Why?
Because it shows that freedom works. When Cuba was free, its infant mortality rate was better than Europe, better than Israel, and better than Japan. And by the way, the Castro brothers cooked the books with a horribly high abortion rate that's left out. It's the highest in the hemisphere. So if there's any problems in pregnancy or problems that have to do with the baby's health, the baby's aborted. Hey, doesn't that sound similar to the House health care plan? Also left out of the CNN report in the UN numbers, according to the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, when you look at children aged 1 to 4, the mortality rate in Cuba is 34% higher than the U.S. That's a lot higher. Another item from the healthcare front, the Bolshevik billionaire, George Soros, pledged $5 million to a coalition of left-wing groups that are seeking the so-called public option. That's the slower transition to total government-controlled medicine that Roseanne Barr doesn't think is fast enough. The group, Healthcare for America Now, is behind the real astroturfing that's going on. And as you have pointed out, Soros indirectly provided funding to the constantly discredited group Media Matters for America. That's the group that intentionally distorted your statements and played a role in the contemptible UK travel ban.
Exactly.
Now, as a law professor, I have watched as your defamation case has grown stronger and stronger. And it occurs to me that in addition to the lifting of the ban, the apology that the UK owes, and the large amount of cash you should receive, you ought to seek an additional accommodation for settlement. Look, so many of the celebrities that I've covered over the years have been knighted by the Queen. It seems to me that making you a knight is the least they can do. But then we'd have to call you Sir Michael.
Ha
Back to you, my friend.
Hey, thanks for the report, James. Oh, a dream I had last night. Remember I've told you for 10 years now I've been having a nightmare that I'm trapped at Heathrow and can't get out of it. I had it again last night. Again, I was in London. I was trapped trying to get on a plane at Heathrow to get out of the country. Listen to this. This is like precognitive recognition of what's coming. For 10 years, I've had a nightmare that I was trapped at Heathrow in a large crowd and I couldn't get my plane in time to go home to New York, even though I don't live there. And no matter what I did, I'm trying to get on Pan Am, I'm trying to get on British Air. I can't find my way, and the plane's leaving, and then I get on, and there's no seat. I'm trapped in England. Now, I want you to understand something. I've had this dream for well over 10 years. It's a recurring nightmare. Last night, I had it again. Now, I'm not trapped in England, but I'm trapped from going into England. And speaking of the geniuses who run England, the man who engineered the blowing up of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, is about to be released. The wonderful Arab, excuse me, you're not supposed to say that. The wonderful worshiper of the religion of peace. Oh, excuse me, I'm not supposed to notice that either. A man with a long Arabic name from the Middle East who blew up Pan Am 103 and killed 200 people, who was in jail in Lockerbie, Scotland, is being released from prison, and apparently he's not banned from the UK. In fact, he's imprisoned in the UK, so go figure. All I did was speak out, and I'm banned from the UK. But a terrorist who blew up an airplane is actually probably going to be invited to the Parliament to give a speech. Go figure. I'll be back.
With Michael Savage, I can relate to him.
The Savage Nation. Weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk 910. KNEW.
Look at him sway with it. Get so gay with it. Shout no lay with it. Wow. Papa loves mambo. Papa loves mambo.
Anyway, there's a lot of things to notice other than Obama being a Marxist.
Is great with it.